Welcome to the Dice Gods. My name is Hydra, and here's our review for the July 2022 releases from Corvus Belli for Infinity the Game. This month is a little lighter than June, with 2 models for characters with existing minis and 2 new boxes. Does that mean it's not a great month? Hell no. Buckle up. First up, we have Uxia McNeill. This isn't our first Uxia, it's at least our 5th, and if we're honest, we all know it won't be our last. But you know what? It's a nice mini nonetheless, packing a boarding shotgun, unpleasantly sharp knife and determined expression. She's ready for violence, as ever. For those who've not had the pleasure, Uxia is a corporal in the 1st Highlanders Special Air Service, or SAS, with a checkered history including stints in the Scots Razor street gangs, as well as in the Imundino's smuggling network, before she settled, finally, to life in the Caledonian Army, much to the relief of the local police forces. Now her capacity for violence and evasion has landed her in the SAS with all the grenades and victims a girl could want. With her trusty shotgun Ramona in hand, you can be sure that whatever you ask Uxia to deal with is going to stay dealt with, permanently. Uxia can be fielded in a number of armies, including Vanilla Ariadne, Caledonia Highlander Army and Cosmoflot. In-game, Uxia is the unpleasant surprise your enemy won't want. A standard 4-4 move does the job, CC of 22 is going to cause issues, BS 11 isn't too great, PH 13 and Whip 13 are good, but no armour and 1 wound do make her a little squishy. Where the fun begins is in her skills. First camouflage with all the trimmings, including infiltration +6 and stealth will get her up the board well and easy. Even infiltrating into the enemy's half isn't so much of a gamble, as she would succeed on a 16 or less. That's her Fizz of 13, -3 for being over the midline, and then the +6 buff she gets. Dodge +2 inches is always welcome, total terrain is nice too. Then we have Martial Arts level 2, which makes her CC attacks crit on 15 or more and gives her a damage of 14. Nice. Frenzy will also see her becoming impetuous when she causes a wound on an enemy. Having the extra optional order of impetuous is a nice buff for letting her do what she does. Uxia has 2 loadouts. Both come with the boarding shotgun, smoke grenades and armour-piercing CC weapon. The first is a hunter build, adding a multispectral visor level 1, grenades and standard pistol to the mix for 26 points. If she's feeling a little bit more tactical, then the MSV goes and is replaced with Specialist Operative. The grenades get switched for decharges and her pistol gets an upgrade to an assault pistol with an extra burst for 27 points. Either is fairly killy and a capable addition to any list. If Uxia wasn't violent enough for you, we have the alpha male goodness of Wolfgang Amadeus Wolff, the Vulva Bounty Hunter, which we first saw as a special edition mini in the Crimson Stone box, and yes, that is the exact way you should pronounce his name. Part man, part wolf, or trouble, Wolfgang is unusual. Where most mercs do the job for the money, he does it for the hunt. Wolfgang lost his left hand to a pupnik on a Friday night special, so now he's augmented with a cybernetic claw and probably a hangover from last night. He's not someone to mess with, or to pat on the head and call a good boy either. Playable in Vanilla Ariadne, Merovision, Cosmoflot, the Nomad Sectorials of Corregidor, Bakunin and Tunguska, and the NA2 Drew's army. He gets about a bit. Wolfgang is a bit of a close combat beast with some great mobility. Core stats are 4-4 movement, CC 22, BS 12, a Viz of 14, Whip 13, Arm 3, BTS 3 and 2 wounds. With Martial Arts level 3, Wolfgang is pumping out damage 16 close combat attacks, critting on 15 or higher with his dual action close combat weapon or para CC weapon, which will enable him to immobilize a target if you're feeling generous. He also has Berserk +3, allowing him to move up to 8 inches, then complete a close combat attack, which crits on a 12 or more. That's the +3 from the Berserk skill, plus the +3 from his martial arts skill. The mobility comes from his +2 inch buff to dodge, +3 to his PH for dodge rolls, meaning he dodges on 17s, climbing plus and 0G terrain skill. Rounding out his loadout is a +1 burst multi-rifle, chain colt and heavy pistol. Not bad for a 35 point mini. Next, and we're on to the new toys with the PanOceania headquarters pack. It says Pano, but really it means military orders, but you could use them in vanilla, so yeah. In this box you'll find a military order curator, the military order character Kyle Hawkins, and an HVT in the form of a military order Grandmaster. See what I mean about it being a little bit military orders leaning? The Grandmaster is the leader of an order of knights, a symbol of fairness, courage, mercy, purity and restraint, answering only to the Pope. Their authority is unquestioned within their order. The curators are tasked with the protection and storage of the relics of the church within their crypt, but in modern times also with the storage of alien artifacts. This has led to curators becoming experts in xenoengineering and xenolinguistics. Kyle Hawkins is a knight hospitaller with an aptitude and fascination for the discipline of the sword. Maybe not as devout or blindly subservient as his fellow knights, his abilities and skill have drawn the attention of Gabriel de Fersen. When his future looked uncertain, it was de Fersen who saw his potential and kept him within the order. Since then, he's proved himself to be a protector of those in his care and a capable warrior. As the Grandmaster is an HVT, the Grandmaster can be fielded with any army. The Curator can be added to vanilla PanOceania, military orders and Svalaheimer lists, while Kyle can be found in vanilla Pano, military orders and Svalaheimer as well. As the Grandmaster is a very pretty flower pot, there's not really much more to discuss here, so we're going to look at the other two instead. The Curator is a fairly straightforward engineer. 4-4 movement, BS12, CC15, Fizz of 10, Whip 12, 1 arm, 3 BTS and 1 wound. She gets a deactivator to clear mines, the engineer skill plus immunity to shock and religious troop, so she needs to roll to fail guts checks. Equipment wise, there's a combi rifle, decharges, AP mine, gizmo kit and standard CC weapon for 17 points. Essentially, she's a shock immune, religious machinist engineer with AP mines and a CC buff who can go military orders and costs 2 more points. Not bad at all. Young Master Hawkins, however, is a bit of a beast. With his 4-4 move, BS14 and a CC of 23, he does like bonking things with his sword and he is pretty good at it. With a PH of 14, Whip 13, 4 arm, 6 PTS and 2 wounds, he's got some nice core stats to round out the rest. His special abilities really add to his epicness. Martial Arts level 3 puts him at a CC of 26, so critting on 14 or more. It also makes his dual action CC weapon damage 16. His profile gives him shock on those CC attacks as well, while stealth lets him creep up on his prey. But Kyle isn't done yet, adding religious troop, dodge plus 1 inch, immunity to shock and frenzy, giving him impetuous when he causes a wound, plus the specialist operative skill, enabling him to run up to enemies and slice them up or fall back and boop some boxes on the way. His profile gives him a multi-marksman rifle and multi-pistol, making him a great threat in the mid-range and close range with the CC. All of this for 36 points is a bit of a bargain. Last but by no means least, we have the Tiāngǒu Orbital Activity Squad Box for Yu Qing. These guys are a lot of fun. In here we have a boarding shotgun, Tiāngǒu, and a Hacker 1-2 plus a pair of mad traps. More on those in a minute. The Tiāngǒu are a division of the Yu Qing State Empire fleet, named for the black hounds which guard the sky for the god of the sky in mythology. Groups of Tiāngǒu are deployed to spaceships and orbitals to monitor the situation, keeping an eye on the passengers, crew and visitors for undesirable or suspicious behaviour. Once located, they will either intervene in that suspicious behaviour themselves or bring in the authorities, depending on the nature of the threat. Whilst most branches of the state fleet are balanced in their approach to gender, the Tiāngǒu are made up exclusively of women, with studies showing that most of their prey will consistently assume women to be defenceless. This is a deliberate choice which results in the underestimation of the Tiāngǒu and a swift death to their enemies. Tiāngǒu appear in vanilla Yu Qing and the White Banner sectorial armies. In game, the Tiāngǒu have reasonable stats, movement of 4-4, CC of 16, BS 12 and a Fizz of 10, so not the best at dodging or damaging in close combat, but a whip of 14 makes them good specialists. Arm 2 and BTS 3 is okay, with one wound being what you'd expect. When it comes to equipment and loadout, the Tiāngǒu starts to shine. First, they all have a hollow mask, enabling them to hide within your army as another similar sized miniature. This will let you hide them away in a fire team or as some cheap unit until it's time to get work done. They also come with a 360-degree visor as standard, so your Tiāngǒu are never getting snuck up on. For special skills, with their name being Orbital Activity Squad, it's no shock that they come with 0G terrain. Next, loadouts, and there are 6 options. 4 FTOs, which can be added to fire teams as a wildcard in White Banner, then 2 without FTO, which gains surprise attack and the Mind Layer skill, plus a hollow projector as standard. Let's start with the FTOs. The first is a combi rifle loadout with Nanopulsar and Jammer. The Nanopulsar is a small template weapon with damage 13, targeting BTS, which is always fun. The Jammer is a 2-use damage 13 weapon targeting BTS, which, if the attack is unsaved, does no damage, but it does knock the target into an isolated state. In that instance, the target is moved to its own combat group, so it can't share its orders or use orders generated by other miniatures. And if that wasn't bad enough, all of its equipment that does comms attacks and comms equipment, such as hacking devices, is also disabled. This weapon is especially nasty as it doesn't need line of sight, it works within the zone of control of the owner. All of this comes in at just 22 points. Next we have a Red Fury build. This is essentially a damage 13 Spitfire with shock ammo. It's a pretty nasty prospect if you think you're only facing a combi rifle line trooper due to hollow mask mischief and suddenly Red Fury. At 25 points and a single point of SWC, it's not hard to fit this in most lists. Next is the boarding shotgun, which is one of the loadouts in this box. This one has the boarding shotgun, grenades, and again the jammer, making it a potent close range threat to fire teams or groups of troops. At 23 points, it's pretty cheap as well. Our last FTO is a killer hacker with combi and nanopulsar. This, again, is one of the miniatures in the box. With a whip of 14 and the ability to be hidden, this loadout is a nasty hacker hunter, allowing you to move up the board then ambush hackers when they're not expecting it. Coming in at 23 points, that's a pretty good deal. The last 2 builds are another Red Fury and Killer Hacker, but without the ability to be in fire teams, but with some great bonuses. The first is the addition of Surprise Attack -3, allowing you to give -3 to AROs when you pop out of a hidden state in your active phase. They also gain a pair of Mad Traps with the Mind Layer skill. Mad Traps are perimeter weapons which can be deployed within the zone of control of your miniature, and when an enemy activates in their zone of control, they charge at them and go pop. In the case of Mad Traps, this results in the enemy target needing to make a pH -6 roll, and if they fail, they become immobilized. In effect, they're glued to the floor. Last, these builds also get a hollow projector, allowing you to place the miniature and 2 copies of it within the zone of control of each other. So your Tiāngǒu is disguised as something else and copied twice. The ultimate shell game of lies. Only you know which one's real, and your opponent will need to choose one of the 3 to ARO to. So it's a 2 in 3 chance that they're going to ARO to fresh air basically. Always nice. Points wise, the Red Fury jumps to 29 points and 1 SWC, whilst the Killer Hacker goes to 27 points. That makes them 4 points more expensive than the FTO variant, which for Mad Trap, Surprise Shot and Hollow Projector is a pretty good deal in our book. And that's it, the releases for Infinity the Game for July 2022. Some nice additions for the 2 big hyperpowers in the game, and as ever, gorgeous miniatures. Let us know which you're looking forward to the most in the comments. That's all for today. Please like, subscribe, and consider hitting the bell so you know when our new videos come out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.